Hi, and welcome to TTELT, Teaching Tips for English Language Teachers, a program of educators worldwide. I'm your host today, Melanie Gobert.
Hello, everyone. This is Melanie Gobert, your host for today's episode of TTELT, Teaching Tips for English Language Teachers. Joining us today is Karen Bauer. She's the Regional Manager for the Middle East and Central Asia for EducationUSA. Welcome, Karen.
Hello and welcome. It's great to be here today.
Okay, Karen's going to be talking to us about some resources available for teachers to share with their students about studying in the USA.
Great.
Over to you, Karen.
Great, Melanie. It's great to be here. Well, I just want to start off by sharing a little bit about Education USA and who we are as a network in the event that maybe your listeners have never heard of us before. Education USA is a State Department network. We are all around the world. We're in over 170 countries, and we have over 450 advisors around the world offering free, up-to-date, accurate advice for international students who are interested in coming to the United States to study. And of course, that includes students who want to come and study English as well, or need to be proficient in English before they're applying to their degree programs. So that's a little bit about who we are. I'm based in Dubai in the United Arab Emirates, and I, as the regional manager, help our advisors in 13 countries in the GCC, as well as in Central Asia. And our advisors are based at embassies and consulates in the Middle East. They're also based at Amity centers. And then in Central Asia, they tend to be at American councils. So we're kind of all over, but we really are accessible to students and to you, teachers, who are helping support students as they're studying language.
Okay, so can you tell us a bit about working with the RELOs and the U.S. Embassy?
Sure. So the RELOs are the Regional English Language Officers. And while I'm a REAC, we always call them the Rs. We work closely with the RELOs because they are supporting you as, teachers and as your students in the growth of English language. And so it's good to know who your RELO is in your country, and also look at the programs that are being offered through the State Department. There are programs directly through Maine State, as well as at the various U.S. embassies and consulates. And it can vary from country to country. So my advice would be to check the U.S. Embassy website to take a look and see what programming is available for English language teachers. If you're trying to find the Education USA advisor, that resource would be through the educationusa.state.gov website, where we have a great tab and a feature where you can find an advising center. You can see the services that are offered, where they're located, and the different types of programmings they have. And our advisors do go out to schools as well and have a variety of different programming. So it really is worth your while to see who's in country and who is close by to you. I can also share with
now you. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I could also share with Melanie a little bit about the resources that English language teachers could use. I know we talked a little bit about that before we started our conversation today. So, we're always looking for new resources to help students. And I'm sure that many of your teachers have students in their classes who are thinking about going to the United States to study. And just in the Middle East alone, there's over 4,400 students from this particular region who are studying at English programs in the United States. This is according to the Open Doors numbers that is released by the Institute of International Education. So a student may say, hey, I really want to study in the United States, but I just don't know the right program, the right school. The United States is very big. Where should I go? Well, we have a worksheet. We have a few different worksheets for different things, but particularly for English language, we have a worksheet called Defining Your Priorities that teachers can go and download off of our website. And that really will help the student to define what it really is that they want out of their experience in the United States if they so choose to physically go to the US and study. And we can definitely share that with you, Melanie, as a PDF, and you can put it in your show notes as well. So there's also a handout for defining your priorities for undergrad and graduate studies as well. But I know for this group, usually you're working with that student that is just kind of focusing on their English predominantly.
Okay, that's one resource. I was going to ask you about the resources, so tell us about two more.
Sure. Well, we also have a summer program for high school students. So if you have students between the ages of 15 to 18 who want to have that summer experience, you want to get a taste of what it's like on a US university campus, there's the Education USA Academy. We're in about 8 institutions across the United States, and students come to the US, they live on a US university campus. In addition to taking classes and having some cultural events on around the region that they're at, they will also focus on English language. We have a program with Foothill Community College in California, and students can actually practice their English, and that particular academy is focused on English language. So that's a really great resource for the student who kind of wants to make the investment, may want to do something in the summertime and get a taste of what it's like on campus.
Okay, and I think there's one more resource you were going to share.
Yes, the other resource that I love, and this is for students and even maybe for yourself as a teacher, if you want to do a deep dive of what it takes to apply to colleges and universities in the United States, and you want to provide your students with more information, possibly maybe looking at what are the vocabulary, the words around college counseling or the college admission process. We have a book called If You Want to Study in the United States, and it's book 1 for undergraduate studies. It also is a PDF on our website, and I'd be happy to share that as well. But you can download this resource, share it with your students, and possibly use that as an exercise with your students in the classroom and say, well, how do we define a semester? What's the difference between a semester and quarter? What is a transfer credit? What is a liberal arts education? So some of that terminology that might not be familiar to your international students is in that resource. And so that's something that is free and easy and at your fingertips if you so choose.
Okay, it sounds like it could be very useful. Let's finish up with a final question. What trends are you seeing in the region related to English language as it relates to college counseling and studying in the United States?
Great question, Melanie. Well, we often have heard of the very generous government scholarship programs when it comes to the Middle East, particularly in the Gulf region. And many students prior to the start of those scholarship programs and coming to the United States to study would need English language. Now we know that they have kind of pared back and are really trying to have those students study English before they come to the United States. We see that governments are changing their curriculums. They're teaching English at a much younger age. They're allowing for international curriculums, the International Baccalaureate, American curriculum. So that is changing, but we still are seeing high numbers of students from the Middle East come to the United States for English language study. Saudi Arabia has over 2,600 students in English language programs, followed by Kuwait and Oman. So definitely we are seeing both the trends to provide greater English language access in their home countries, as well as students who are still going to the United States. When it comes to Central Asia, the other region that I cover, we've seen great resources and funding, for example, from the Uzbek government, from Uzbekistan. They are trying to upskill their teachers. They are really focusing on making sure that their students have access to English language. So with that, we see the interest in studying in the United States too. So it's really good to see what those trends are and how that relates to your job. And I would really encourage, we have US universities that are traveling around the world for recruitment. If you would like to connect with a US university who has an English language program to talk to your students, please reach out to Education USA, and we can do that in person or through a webinar so your students will have a better understanding of these various different programs for them.
Okay, wow, Karen, thank you for sharing all that information about the trends and also the valuable resources that are available. Thank you for joining us today on this episode of TTELT.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to be with you all today. And if in doubt, please reach out to educationusa.state.gov.
Okay. Thank you everyone for joining us for today's broadcast. This has been your host, Melanie Gobert, for TTELT, Teaching Tips for English Language Teachers.
Thank you for joining us today. Share with us how you are using these tips. Leave us a comment or voice message on social media or at ttelt.org. Thanks for joining this episode of TTELT, brought to you by educators worldwide. Follow, like, and subscribe to TTELT on your social media, and try a new teaching tip today.